the question is, do we ever wonder if the Bible has anything to say about aliens? The world has so much interest in these things. So many people that feel that perhaps the government's keeping these things a secret from us. That there's a conspiracy not to tell all, that perhaps spacecraft have come to the Earth. There's a place in Nevada called Area 51. It's a very, very secretive place. I go down to Las Vegas every January for an electronics convention, and there was one year where I drove up to Area 51 at night and to the front gate, and I looked, and boy, it was miles, it seemed, in before you could see the lights. It was a long way from the security gate into Area 51 per se, where there was habitation. But as I stood there for a while looking in and gazing at the Nevada sky, which was very starry that night, I saw in a distance some vehicle start to come my way, driving closer and closer. And I thought, you know, maybe I'm not supposed to be here. And so I got in my car and I drove away. Anyhow, they feel there's perhaps many secrets being kept at Area 51, and all kinds of conspiracy theorists have put out documents and released things from the government regarding Area 51. Are they building UFOs there, or are they communicating with aliens there? Is any of this possible? And then there was another incident that occurred in, that would have been 1947, the Roswell UFO incident, where there was a supposed sighting of a crash landing. And some believe that this alien has been kept in a museum, hidden away in Area 51. None of this has ever been verified. That's the only drawback to all this. It's all speculation and all in conspiracy land. How far back in history does this actually go? There's a fellow by the name of Von Daniken, and he wrote a book called Chariots of the Gods. Looking just at his front cover, you can see what some of his inspiration may have been. In his book, he quoted various biblical scriptures claiming that they were descriptions of alien visitations to this earth. Now, that all seems kind of interesting on the surface, but again, if you look just at the cover of his book, you see the pyramids there. And one of his propositions is that man was never intelligent enough to build these kind of things. We must have had help from a more intelligent being or species, and that they visited the earth and constructed these things. And right above the pyramid there, you see the eye of Osiris, which was the sun god. So we know where he's getting his inspiration from. He's an old pagan believer. Osiris really was the sun god of Egypt, a god contrary to our God, the creator of all things. And he would have been inspired by Satan, because anything that is not of God would be counterfeit, and therefore inspired by the great counterfeiter himself. In this book, he quotes certain scriptures like the one where Elijah was caught up in a great whirlwind into heaven. He thinks, well, maybe that chariot description was a description of the UFO catching Elijah and taking him away. Another chapter that he gets into is the first chapter of Ezekiel. And in that, he refers to the vision Ezekiel had at the river Chebar, and the wheels within the wheels, and the creatures that looked in four different directions with four faces. And he's saying, hey, this sounds like the description of a spacecraft. And so Ezekiel, he believes, had the vision of a spacecraft. My question is, Was that a spacecraft? Or was that the throne of God that Ezekiel was really seeing? Now, the whole movie industry is very big on aliens. Is that true?
Yes.
We've got that movie Alien, where they came and they visited the Earth and set war across the whole Earth, trying to destroy all mankind. And these movies come out of a very famous place called Hollywood. What's interesting about Hollywood is it's the source for dream spinning throughout the entire world. It's quite a phenomenon. The people that live in some of the remotest parts of the world want to watch Hollywood movies, buy denim jeans, and drink Coca-Cola. It's the great American influence on the world. Hollywood derives its name from the holly tree. Ancient magicians used to cut wood branches from trees and make these wands for casting magic, and each tree would have a different type of property. In the case of the holly, it was for dream casting and for guiding dream magic. So the holly tree is the wood that was used for casting dream spells. And in fact, Hollywood casts dream spells throughout the world today. If you look at the movies that come out, it starts with the very young, things like Cinderella and all these fun little Disney movies. Funny how all of them have this great castle up in the sky, and that the goal is to get to that castle. Kind of like New Jerusalem. You know, that we want to tread this very narrow path and end up at the New Jerusalem. It is a counterfeit of the real deal. But other things come out of Hollywood, like all the Rambo movies and much violence. And of course, this mass hypnosis includes the UFO phenomenon. The idea that one day there will be a massive UFO invasion of this earth. Independence Day was a movie just like that. And Independence Day, even the White House was destroyed by this massive city-like spaceship that came descending down from heaven, hovered over Washington, and zapped the city, and went on to make war on the whole earth. Imagine the fear that instills in people. If that was to really come true, if aliens and UFOs were to eventually attack this earth, imagine how people would fear and feel about that. How about alien abduction? We've heard these stories about people being taken and operated on, impregnated, and so many different kinds of stories. And then there's the idea that a giant asteroid could impact the Earth. One day, chances are that an asteroid of a very significant size would come into the path of our orbit and hit the Earth with such force to be greater than any nuclear force that we've seen today. How would the nations resolve a problem like that?